Have you ever felt that the only thing that is standing between you and that dream business idea that you have, that skill, those ideas that you want to turn into money? Have you ever thought that the only thing that's standing in your way is that 9 to 5 job? I've been there. I worked in Selfridges for a number of years, and in as much as I really enjoyed my time there, I desperately wanted to get out and have my own business. And it was feeling like a prison sometimes. But today I'm going to share with you 3 simple things that I did when I was working in Selfridges full time that allowed me to make that transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur. And I want to show you how you can do it as well. So stick around to the end, because it's not going to take me that long to explain it to you. But if you haven't got that time to spare, not a problem. I do hope you find that solution and escape the 9 to 5. So let's get into it. My name is Anthony Charles, and whether you are in business already or you are just dreaming of leaving that 9 to 5, I'm here to help you to turn those skills and those ideas into real money by growing your impact, your influence, and your income. It's time to be more, it's time to do more, it's time to have more, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. So let's get into it. My most challenging times was when I was in Selfridges. That was the hardest one. It was a lot of work, 6 days a week, and the commutes were really, really long. So I had to really find a way to make those steps to become an employee, to move from being an employee and becoming an entrepreneur. So let me give you the 3 things that I did. Number 1 was to identify my productive hours. So that's the first thing you've got to do, is to identify your productive hours, because those productive hours are what you are going to use to work your way out of your job. So how do you do that? Now, you've got to identify, first of all, when you are most productive. For me, it was simple. I was most productive in the nighttime and in the evenings. Not so much the mornings. The mornings were not bad, but sometimes I would make myself late for work. So in my video where I talk about maximizing your 24 hours with one simple task, I was able to look at my entire day and to see where I was most productive. Download that timesheet and do the exercise. I know it's tedious. I know it will take you some time, but if you're having trouble identifying where your spare time is, where your productive time is, and where you're wasting time, that is the key. That is the answer for you. As I said, my time is different now to how it was back then. I was good in the evenings, but the mornings, not so much. I would make myself late for work. Now, in my other video, how to never be late again, I give you the tips on how to be productive in the morning, how to really use that morning effectively, and how to still be on time for work. It's just a few little things that you have to do, but it will fine tune your morning. You'll get a lot done and you will not be late for work. So what's making you unproductive? Is it stress? Is it pressure? And what's it leading to? What's taking up your time? Drinks, meals, just being at home, lounging, Netflix, social media? What is it? Are you tired, or are you just sick and tired? Once you can identify where your time is being spent and where your productive and unproductive times really are, then we can start building on it. So let's get into number 2. Number 2 is to disrupt your patterns and your habits. So the things that I've talked about in number 1, can you disrupt any of those patterns or your habits? It's not that easy. Otherwise anybody would be doing it, but can you do that? And to change some of those patterns, some of those things that are taking up your times, some of those things that are making you unproductive, those patterns or those habits, they're going to take rewriting. You've got to rewrite those codes and those programs that have been running for many years. So you've got to disrupt them. Here's a question. Is that mindset of yours betraying you? Is the way you think betraying you? You have to master your mind. I've said it many times. Your mind is a terrible master. It is an incredible slave. You must be the master of your mind. You have to be super conscious. And let me give you an example of disrupting the patterns. Let me just give you an example of how powerful your mind is, because sometimes I talk about it, but people think, oh no, I'm in control of my mind. Let me show you how your mind can just run on something. Let's say, for instance, you're in a relationship, and your girlfriend or your boyfriend calls you up, your husband or your wife, whatever, calls you up, and they say to you, darling, look, I'm away for the weekend, but I just want you to know it's Friday now. I'm away for the weekend, but I know you're having a hard time. You've had a really hard time. I just want you to know you will not believe this. I checked last week's lottery numbers, and you're not gonna believe this. 6 numbers. 6 numbers. I just had to phone you and tell you that. I know this is Friday and your last day at work, and I won't see you until Sunday, but I just wanted you to know that right now. How are you feeling when they tell you that? 6 numbers. They say it's 1.4 million that you lot have won. You're at work Friday morning, you get that call. How are you feeling for the rest of the day? How are you feeling when certain of your colleagues behave in a certain way? You're looking at them thinking, yeah, so you carry on. You carry on. I might not be here, you know. Listen, you are walking with a spring in your step. You go home on Saturday and you're feeling good. You're feeling up. You're already spending the money. You're already thinking about what you're going to do. Now, your significant other comes back on Sunday and you're waiting for them to talk a little bit more about the lottery. And they say to you, look, I just wanted to say to you, we didn't actually win the lottery, but I could see how down you were feeling. And I knew I was going to be away. I just wanted to lift your spirit somewhat. Now, after you kill them, let me ask you a question. If they told you that, the feelings you had on Friday, the feelings you had on Saturday, the feelings you had until they walked in the door and told you that it wasn't true, were the feelings real? If the answer is yes, then those feelings were based on something that wasn't true. But you still believe them. You see how powerful your mind is. So you see how easy it is to disrupt a negative thought pattern. You might have been feeling bad, but just because of what you were told and what you believed, all of a sudden you made a switch. That's what you've got to do. The solutions are easy. Most times they are free, but they take action. They take consistency and they take persistence. You've got to keep on doing it again and again until you get the results. There's a fantastic book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's by Shad Helmstetter, and he bases this book on the premise that you're going to talk to yourself. You're going to tell yourself things. You might as well tell yourself productive things and positive things. It's an amazing book. If you want to start reprogramming the thoughts and interrupting and disrupting the things that are going to keep you stuck, read that book. I'm going to put a link in my description below. Now, what I've told you, what makes it so powerful is this. When you are using what we call positive self-talk, when you are interrupting those patterns and you're stopping yourself and you're rethinking and you're substituting the negative thoughts for positive thoughts, here's the deal. You can always have the last say. That's what you're going to have. That's what fires me. That's what drives me. No matter how bad it gets and no matter what thoughts come to me, I can always have the last say. No matter if I get 1,000 negative thoughts, I can have 1,001 positive thoughts. And it is the repetition that's going to win the game for you. So if you like this kind of video where I share what I have learned through my life experiences and how it determines the decision I make on a daily basis in my life and how it can help you, then please subscribe for more. Okay, let's deal with number 3. Number 3 is to maximize your 24 hours. Now, the secret of being successful in all that you do will largely depend on what you do when you have nothing to do. And we all have the same 24 hours. I know I've tried it. I've spoken to the Almighty and I said to him, look, is there any chance of getting 25? Just an extra hour. I promise you, I won't waste it. I'll use it to the best of my ability. You'll be really proud of me. He said, no. You're getting 24 hours like everybody else. So you've got to work like mad. You've got to be determined and focused to prioritize, to get really good at prioritizing. And something that will help you, something that helped me was to use the acronym WIN. I wanted to win, so I used the acronym WIN. What's important now? Everything that I was doing, everything that I was undertaking, I was always asking myself, what's important now? Is this what I should be doing? Is this taking me any closer or further from my dreams, goals, and aspirations? The things that I want to do, the things that I want to have, the things I want to become, the things I want to share. I kept on asking myself that question again and again and again. And while I was working my 9 to 5 and I was figuring out how to make that transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur, I kept on looking at ways that I could really get the best out of my day, the most out of my day. And I had to really work hard at organizing my schedule. One of the things that I started doing was in the early morning, I'd start reading on the tube when I was going into work. That was one of the first changes that I made. And one day I happened to come into work really early and I saw a colleague of mine called Natalie. She was asleep on the counter. And I was thinking, number one, what's Natalie doing here so early? Number two, she's asleep. And I asked her when the shop opened and she was awake, I said, what's the deal? And she said she comes in from somewhere far. I'm going to say Gateshead. I can't remember. I think that's what it was. She said that there's only one train that takes her from where she lives into central London. And if she misses that train, the next one will bring her in too late to start work. So she's got no choice. She has to come in super early, more than an hour before she was actually having to start work. So she has to leave home really early, get that one train. She comes into work and she finishes her kip at the counter. So I thought about it and I said to myself, okay, maybe I could do that. I started not sleeping. I came in really early. And what I started to do was I'd come in and I'd have breakfast. Or sometimes I'd bring my breakfast in, my sandwiches or anything, and I would go up to the canteen and I'd sit there and it'd be dead quiet. And then I'd start reading, I'd start doing work. And then by the time it was time for me to start work, I had already got quite a bit of work done. I was really utilizing my time. Then I started looking around and seeing what else could I use. Lunch breaks. Most of the lunch breaks consisted of going out to some kind of eatery, and it was expensive, anywhere from £5 to £10 every single day. So you think about it, you could be spending anything from £25 to £50 a week, and that's if you're working 5 days. You're doing an extra. I was doing six days. So do the maths on that. The first thing it did was save me a load of money, but it saved me precious time. And what I do with the lunchtime, I'd go down into the basement, into the changing room. It was horrible down there. There was one solitary chair. I think it was probably if people are changing their shoes or something. This one chair, and I just sat there, but it was such a horrible, dingy place. What I started doing was going up into the canteen, and we'd have this kind of loft section, elevated section, and you'd go up there. It's a quiet room where people would go to sleep. Started off good, but too many people up there taking off their shoes. So really cheesy up there sometimes. So I worked up there, but that wasn't great. Then I discovered Grosvenor Square, where all the embassies are. An absolutely beautiful park in the summertime, and it was lovely. And I would go out there and spend my lunch times in the sun, get my vitamin D, and learning, doing bits of work. Now, what I'm talking to you about is easy to do if you're single and you've got no children. You've got no excuses. As I stand now, I'm not working 9 to 5. I do work in my business full time, but I've still got a heavy schedule. I've got children, I've got school runs to do, I've got meals to prepare, meal planning. I do most of the meals. So I've got to coordinate my schedule just as it's just as almost as busy as when I was working, but just a lot more choices and a lot more fulfillment. One of the things that I do as a cooking for the children that really works is I have a rolling 2-week schedule. So I know exactly what they're going to be eating in week 1, what they're going to be eating in week 2. And that allows me to batch cook and to really get ahead and think really strategically of where I place the meals and how one meal can follow into another meal. So I'm not doing major cooking every single day. And it really, really works. That's what you've got to do. You've got to see the best way that you can maximize your time. And I managed to get that done at a time in my life when I'm looking back at Selfridges. I managed to accomplish all the things I wanted to do with no laptop, with no smartphone, with no tablets, very limited resources to internet. Those were the days where you had to go to the Easy Cafe and I'd use the internet there. I'd use their computers because I didn't have one at home for myself. No, I did have a computer at home. I didn't have a laptop that I could take around the place. So I did it with limited resources. So if you've got those resources today, look, you can do a lot more and you can do it a lot quicker. And there wasn't all of the help available. There certainly wasn't a fantastic program that like we run, which is the Essential Business Blueprint for Success. And that's the program that we run, which helps you to start and complete that business plan of yours, and then get yourself up and running in business and understanding exactly what you're doing. It gives you the confidence to be able to turn those ideas and those skills into money. There's a link in the description box below if you want to check it out. Okay. So the question is, what are you waiting for? There's so much that you can do. If you're ready to be more, to do more, and to have more, and to get on the road to turning those ideas and skills into money, then the easiest thing that you can do is to download my Essential Business Startup Checklist. And it will give you a clear picture of where you are in your business journey right now and what you need to do next. All that's left for me to say to you is to keep on being amazing, because you are. Speak soon. Feeling good? Want more results like this? Let's keep that momentum going with this video here. Also, click on my head here to subscribe.